Hello there everyone, I'm Albz, and today we're taking a look at two stories from r/EntitledParents. The first one is fairly short, but I think it's actually kind of insane. The second one is a bit longer and it might wake some feelings. Anyway, let's get on with it. So I'm 18 years old and walking through the streets of Phoenix. On my hip I have a holster called 10mm Delta Elite, and a boy, probably around 7 or 8, walks up to me. "Is that gun real?" EK asks. "Yes it is," I reply softly. "Can I hold it?" he asked. I said, "No, not without your parent." 5 minutes later, about to walk into an academy, sports and exercise store for those that don't know, when the EM and EK walks up to me and she says, "Excuse me, young man." I turn around. "Did you refuse my son to hold your toy gun?" she said, slightly frustrated. "This isn't a toy," I said, but she cut me off. "Listen here, you stupid little kid. I don't care. You're probably too old to have a toy gun. Now give it to my son," she said. "Ma'am, it's not a toy gun," I said frustratingly. She then rolled her eyes and tries to grab my gun, but I back up in time for her to miss. At that time, a buff man walked out of the store and saw what happened. He then came up to help. "Ma'am, what is going on here?" he says to her. "This man stole my son's toy gun and won't give it back." He looked at me and I told him exactly what happened. He called the cops and she got arrested for attempted theft. All the while she was screaming how people are me, or how Trump won the election, and why kids shoot up schools. Now this woman sounds incredibly horrible. In Phoenix I guess it's allowed to walk around with your gun in the open. I probably wouldn't do that, it seems incredibly risky. They're usually for self-defense, and if you keep your gun on your hip, that seems like a very easy way to get your gun stolen. I don't know, maybe it's just me. That is not okay. You can't walk around trying to steal people's weapons. That's probably a very major offense. I really do hope that she got a major fine for that one. I am not even sure this is the right subreddit to post it in, but it seems to fit this one. Backstory. I'm autistic, mild case and high functioning. At the time this took place, I was 7 and in kindergarten grade. In Denmark, school is a bit different than the US. Here it's daycare to kindergarten to school at age 5 to 6, starting in kindergarten grade or 0th grade. So it wasn't diagnosed yet, but my mom always suspected and told both kindergarten staff, teachers and parents that I likely have it. I got diagnosed with Asperger's at age 10 if anyone is curious. Some were understanding and respectful about this. Most were neutral, but one specific mother, the entitled parent, thought that it was absolutely disgusting that I be around normal children, especially her daughter. And rather than doing the rational thing parents do when they don't like something at their current school, this woman instead spent her time pushing my mother to put me in special ed. On with the story. Alright, I also need to stress that this was 17 years ago, and while I don't remember exactly everything, like conversation specifics, some of this just burned into my mind. Hence why I'm not including dialogue. I'm walking home from school with one of my good friends, maybe the best one, we'll call her Julie, who is the daughter of our EP. I have always gotten along better with girls than boys. I was calmer than most boys most of the time, despite severe anger issues, and girls were more understanding, respectful and patient than boys for the most part. I might have to mention that I am one of those Aspies, people with Asperger syndrome, who also have balance and sensory issues beyond your basic social incompetence and learning difficulties, so I am honestly not entirely solid on my feet at the time. So we were walking and talking about the day and new toys and TV shows and whatever else we could think of, as I begin stumbling and Julie, being the amazing girl she is, reaches out to catch me and support me. As she kind of reaches me, I begin falling down, and being a bit bigger than her, I accidentally pull her down with me. We both get scraped up. We make pain winces for a while, then we get up. My house is the closest, so I invite her for a quick snack because I kind of hurt her. She says it's alright, it was just an accident and I shouldn't think anything about it. I don't exactly remember or know precisely what happened next, but I got the cliff notes from my mom years later, who herself was told by other parents. I already told her what happened earlier that day and we both laughed and I got a band-aid, happy little boy. But after this incident, EP had seen what happened to Julie, then proceeded to twist facts and send it out to many class parents, the neutral ones, via letter, and spread the story about how I had beaten up her daughter at a whim and that I was a violent lunatic and we needed to get me removed from the class. Some of the neutral parents were on the fence about me and supported her, and the rest remained neutral or didn't get the letter. Anyways, fast forward to the next weekend, and we're headed to a birthday party for one of our classmates at his house. Parents of the birthday boy are among those who had been on the fence about me, and now thought I was a violent sociopath. Here I come to the party, gift in hand, asking my mom not to go in with me because I was embarrassed of her. She, like a good parent does, stays and watches to make sure I get in okay. I am stopped in the door and told that I am not allowed inside with the other kids. I am of course stunned and deeply confused about this and ask why. And me being 7 years old and him being adult, he just says I'm not welcome. I am very sad at this point and I'm yelling at him with tears in my eyes. So when my mom comes out and asks me what the hell is going on, and he tells her I'm not allowed inside. She's of course confused and outraged and asks why, and he says that I was violent and a danger to the other kids, that I had beaten up another kid. My mom is confused, I am confused. My mom asks who I supposedly beat up, and he says Julie, and I am even more confused, as is my mom, because we're best friends. This is a he said, she said situation, and he decides to resolve it immediately and calls on Julie. Then asks him, and she looks as confused as me and runs to me as she sees I'm sad. She says I fell, she tried to save me, and accidentally got pulled down. He apologizes profusely and sends me inside with Julie to play and have fun. It was a lovely day. Here's where there's a bit more story I didn't hear about until years later. My mom and the parents, who now realized I was a good, if odd, little boy. He and my mom immediately calls the other parents and shares that none of what EP said was actually true. And from then on, the rest of the parents were on board with me staying here and not trying to force me into special ed or anything like that. And when I started this special course a year later for my balance and sensory difficulties, which was during school, another parent even volunteered to have their kid join the class too, so I wouldn't feel weird about being taken out of class and go there alone. Sincerely hope that you enjoyed this load of cringe and that I posted it in the right place. This is honestly a bit of a sad story, but I'm glad it worked out in the end. He seems like an alright kid, so I'm glad he didn't get too much shit for it. Imagine trying to force someone else's kids into special ed. How entitled do you have to be to think that someone else's kid has to go into special ed when you're the only one saying so? That's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please do go ahead and like, and please do subscribe. If you like the GIF in the background, I would highly suggest you check out beesandbombs on Twitter, and you can also follow me at Albz. Should all be shown on screen right now, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.